Welcome to myGSPN Live. You're here with your host, Robert Brown.
And Jose Rodriguez.
And it's a very exciting show for you this Tuesday. But before we get to it, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Garden Grocer. If you're in the Disney Resort area, go to www.gardengrocer.com. Get beverages, snacks, whatever you need for your vacation time. Place an order and we'll have it delivered to your resort at the time of your arrival. Let's start off with some baseball like we usually do.
Florida High School.
Yep.
So we're going to jump in right into Florida High School baseball. Now, start off, we're just going to show up the upcoming baseball games that are coming off the year. Right now, tomorrow, May 15th, or actually today, to be exact, is the regional semifinals 9A. Spruce Creek at Lake Mary at 7 p.m., then DP at Boom at 4, and Timber Creek at Osceola at 7 p.m. Now, out of these three games that are going to be taking place,
huge games.
They're all crazy. You know, all those 6 teams right now have amazing talent, but the one that I think is going to take it all overall is going to be Timber Creek, not only because they've recently won states in that division already, and they have the most experience when it comes to these type of playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. And to keep in fact that this is a regional semifinals game, so they've got the experience. Once you get to, it's not a regular season game. Once you get to the point where like all the pressure is on,
sudden death.
Some people don't play as well. Some teams that have proven that they can be there and move on, you kind of have to expect them to continue to play the way they've been playing and in those tournaments. So I got to go with Timber Creek.
And even the pros choke, So
that's true.
If the pros do it, I'm not saying it's okay for teams to do it as well, but it happens.
You got to factor that in, especially with younger kids. If they've never been to this stage,
the pressure
can get
big.
to them.
The pressure's really big. Now to continue on to today's games is going to be now to 8A, and these are the semifinals as well. Now there's only one game playing. It's Haggerty at St. Cloud.
Yep.
Everybody knows who's going to take the W. Haggerty, of course, but again, St. Cloud is also a very good team, so expect an upset. Sorry about that.
There really could be an upset. Like you said, I think Haggerty should get this win. They're the better team on paper, and
they've been all year.
Throughout the year, they've been the better team. Exactly. So I've got Haggerty, but that's the only 8A game for the Central Florida area. Again, these are all the regional, either semifinals or finals for Central Florida area teams that are still playing.
Now the only semifinals that are left is 5A, which is going to be Bishop Moore and Nature Coast Tech. That's going to be at 7 p.m., which is going to be a must-watch game. Bishop Moore has just been obliterating the whole competition. They don't care who they're facing. They just go out there and perform, get the W.
This is another one just like Haggerty where they, on paper and the way they played this year, this should be a win for Bishop Moore. But, I mean, Nature Coast could come in and get an upset, so don't be too surprised. But, if they actually just came out where sports betting in America is now going to be legal. If this game you could bet on, I would put my money on Bishop Moore.
Oh yeah, me too, 100%. Yeah. Now these are the last of the semifinals, and now moving into the finals for regionals is going to be Class A, 3A, and Classes 2A. And for 3A is Lakeland Christian at Carrollwood Day, also at 7 p.m. And then moving down to 2A finals at St. Andrews Episcopal Academy at Mendora Christian Academy as well. Again, it's not that these teams are not, that great or in the levels of, the Haggertys or the Timber Creeks or even the Bishop Moores. But if you make it into, this type of time of the season, and you got to be good. You got to be putting up good numbers. No matter what division, what class you're in, the competition is at its best in that class.
And that's the thing, the competition, no matter where your class is going to be high once you get to this level, these tournament games. So, St. Andrews and Mount Dora, Lakeland, Carrollwood, you can't count them out and say, oh, these are just, these teams aren't as good as the DPs, the Haggertys. They're just in a smaller conference, which doesn't necessarily mean that they're worse. A lot of times, the baseball with the money, they go to these private schools so they can have the better coaches. So sometimes the smaller area schools may end up being the better ones.
That's right, and I 100% agree. A lot of people don't take that into consideration also.
Definitely. Oh, now we want to stay into the sister sport. We'll go with softball. We've got a few scores to catch you up on and then some games that are happening coming up on the 16th and the 18th of May.
Now, the May 8th, it happened 9A Friday, May 11th, regional final. Again, this is softball, not baseball. We're going to West Orange at Spruce Creek. Spruce Creek lost 0-3 against West Orange. The other team that also lost was Alonzo against Timber Creek, and that was a close game too. It was a 3-2 final. It was kind of like a nail biter. A lot of people did not expect Alonzo and Timber Creek to go head to head like that over the 6 innings and 7 innings.
And now this very similar to what we talked about last week. Timber Creek having such a good team and not just
in baseball.
Softball, but baseball as well. I love to see that. You know, it's not a huge thing, but it's just something that excites me to see. You know, the men's and women's team in either the same sport or similar sports like basketball,
kind of like basketball,
track,
lacrosse, etc.
Yeah. So just to see both teams doing so well, it's exciting to see.
And it says a lot about the school and the culture.
Definitely, definitely.
That's something that it's very thought of when you're trying to go into the next level, like college or maybe even pro.
Yeah.
So congrats to them as well.
We move on to the 8A. Let's skip over this first game really fast. East Ridge lost to Oakleaf 1-9. Plant City versus Lakewood Ranch. Plant City 2, Lakewood Ranch 9. And the last game for this 8A is Haggerty versus George Jenkins. Haggerty gets the win, eliminates George Jenkins. We actually had a correspondent write an article on this game. So if you go to my news at myGSPN.com, you'll be able to find this game. It's a really exciting article, gives you a lot of information about the game that we weren't able to get some highlights for. So if you weren't there, please go online, read the article, and check it out. Now we've got some upcoming games still in this high school softball tournament. We're getting to the very, very end, state semifinals, state finals. So we'll start off with the 9A. Games will be May 18th, at historic Dodgertown. So if you can go catch those games, please do. We've got West Orange versus Timber Creek at 6:30 and Western versus Coral Reef at 7:50.
Yeah, these games are going to be a lot of talent. And, you know, even baseball, softball. When it comes to this, like I mentioned earlier, when it comes to this type of stage and this type of time in the season, you know, the talent and the competition level, it's at its highest, at its peak. Now, moving into 8A, Friday, May 18th as well, in historic Dodgertown, is going to be Oakley versus Lakewood Ranch at 4 or 5. Haggerty versus Cooper City at 5:20 p.m. And then 4A, 3A, and 2A, these are all mostly Christian schools or private schools. And to start off with 4A on Wednesday, May 16th, semifinal is going to be Trinity Christian Academy versus Montverde, which is, again, not even fair. Their baseball team went undefeated this year, so that says something about their program and their culture.
And now their softball is in the state semifinals. They're probably going to win a state championship.
Most likely, of course. Now the 3A, again on Wednesday, also May 16th, is going to be Rock Bayou Christian versus versus Cornerstone Charter Academy. And it's going to be at 3:35 p.m. And then 2A, it's Osceola Christian versus Masters Academy at 10:35 a.m. So if you're gonna support either of these schools, you're not gonna get a lot of sleep. So make sure you get your coffee ready and go support these girls, because they're gonna give the 100% out there for their schools.
Definitely. And now we'd like to take a quick word from our sponsor. Welcome back. Now let's look around the country like we like to do every day. California is such a big state. It's probably going to take us a couple days to really get through everything we want to talk about, because we want to give every student athlete, every sport, every state the opportunity to, you know, market you and help in any way we possibly can. So
I agree.
Let's look at California football. It's a huge state for football, but we have a top 5, and it starts off with the #1 team in the country, the powerhouse that is modern day. They went 15-0 last year. They're #1 in the state and #1 in the nation according to the rankings. We move on to #2, St. John Bosco. They had Josh Rosen went there, who was the #10 pick in the NFL draft this past year to the Cardinals. He attended UCLA. It's a quarterback, a very, very good, very skilled quarterback.
If you want 10th pick,
you know, you go that high. I actually had him, you know, I'm not a football mock draft guy, but I had him going #1. Talking to some of the people, I thought he was the best quarterback in the draft. I thought he had the most arm talent, the most potential, you know, with the group of quarterbacks. You wanted the Browns
to get him?
I did, but you know, they took the guy from Oklahoma, Heisman Trophy winner, so you can't really go wrong with that pick, but I thought Rosen was the best.
They took a Heisman winner, and it didn't turn out so well for them in the past, you know.
That's true, but hopefully Baker Mayfield will be a little better, and I got Josh Rosen having a fantastic career. He's got great pieces, a great support system around him out in LA, or not LA, I'm sorry, but in Arizona. So he should have a good year. We move on to #3, Folsom, who was 16-0 last year. They state ranked #3, nationally ranked #8. You'll see a lot of these teams, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the state are going to end up being top 25, top 30 in the country in Florida and Texas and California. So you do see that. We move on to number 4, Centennial, 10-2 on the year last year, number 4 in our state rankings, number 12 in the country. Absolutely fantastic school. They've produced NFL players, and with the number 12 ranking like this, they're sure to have several kids in the ESPNU 300.
Out of millions of high school in the country, being if you're number 100, you're doing something good. Being top 12 is something amazing.
And the last school on this list, number 5, Mission Viejo, is 12-1 on the year, state ranked number 5 and number 17 nationally. So all these teams in their top 5 were top 20 in the country. So that speaks volumes about California state football.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm pretty sure Josh Rosen wasn't the only high draft pick, but just something to show off his alma mater real quick.
Definitely. Now, to stick with another top 5, the class of 2018, these kids will be going on to college. I'm sorry, a lot of them going, staying in the state, going to USC, which is a powerhouse football program. Has been. They might have the most Heisman Trophy winners. They're up there in like top 5 in all time.
And that's not the Carolina.
No. This is Southern California. Carson Palmer. They've had everybody. I had Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush, and those are just recent guys. They've got guys, years before who are winning Heisman trophies, national championships, number 1s, number 2 picks. So, staying in this state, Devin Williams going to USC is a 6'5", 191-pound athlete. He's the number 1 athlete in the country. He's the number 1 player in California, which is a huge accomplishment. And for his national rank, he's number 16 overall. So, I mean, that's huge. But to be the number 1 athlete
in a state,
they put him in the country, actually, for his position. That just means he does everything. They could put him at running back, wide receiver, safety, linebacker, defensive. They just move him all over the field. He's not one specific guy. He does everything. Moving on, he actually attended the Under Armour All-American game as well. So that tells you a little bit about him. All these kids actually attended some type of elite high school All-American game. We move on to Amon-Rod St. Brown. Very good last name. Also going to USC, a 6 foot, 190-pound wide receiver, number 2 in the state. He's a very, very fast guy. Number 35 overall, and he's the number 3 receiver in the country. Based off of his position, he attended the Army All-American game.
And that's crazy that the first 3 guys on the list are all going to USC. So you can expect a great season from USC in the following years to come if you have, top players in the state and in the nation as well for high school football.
And right on that, JT Daniels, who's that 3rd player, is the quarterback going to USC on this list. Number 3 in the state, number 9 quarterback overall, and number 66 ranked nationally. He also attended the Army All-American game. So you've had St. Brown and as a wide receiver, and now JT Daniels coming in together. They made room together. That connection, quarterback to wide receiver, could be fantastic. Amazing. And you never know. Devin Williams, they could also put at receiver.
Yeah, he's a fast guy. He's an athlete.
That'll be all 3 of them. 1, 2, and 3 that are going to USC. In a couple years, you could see them being their 3 main players out on that field.
I agree. Of course, 100%.
And now the last 2 guys. Jalen Hall is committed to Oregon. He's the number 4 player in California, number 6 overall, and the number 9 wide receiver nationally ranked. He Army All-American game as well. Jaden Woodby.
Finally, somebody coming to Florida.
All the way from California, goes to Florida State. He's a safety. He's the number 4 ranked safety in the country, number 5 overall in California, and the number 70 ranked player in the country. These, you got number 70, number 66, number 64, number 35, number 16. This state is full of talent, and USC is getting the majority of guys to go there.
Yeah, it's not fair. But again, life's not fair.
Yeah, life's not fair, but USC seems to be doing a great job. We're about to close out, but before we do, we've got a short Rob's Corner, Jose's favorite segment. We want to talk real quick, just touch on Orlando City. They've had, they were on a huge win streak that finally came to an end.
Props, 6.
6-game win streak. That's the longest in the history of
the franchise, of course.
But they ended up losing on Sunday, 2-1 to Orlando City, or to Atlanta United. You know, it was a very, very close game. Justin Merman scored in the 57th minute for us. You know, this loss drops us down to 4th place with 19 points overall. We're 6 wins, 3 losses, and a draw. Atlanta, you know, this would have possibly had us number 1 if we had a won. But
the number 1 seed.
Yeah, Atlanta stays at number 1, not just in the Eastern Conference, but in the MLS overall with 25 points. There are 8 wins, 2 losses, and a draw.
I mean, I'd take that any day. If I'm playing the number 1 team in the whole, you know, MLS.
We had a chance to win.
Yeah, we have multiple chances to win, but, you know, again, they're number 1 for that reason. They have the defense, they have the offense, a complete full package.
Now, we move on to the NBA, and this is the biggest surprise I've seen in the NBA since since New Orleans swept Portland 4-0 in the first round.
Oh, yeah.
We've got Cleveland 83, went to Boston 108. I was not ready for this. At halftime, it was a 26-point game. Everything Boston did, everything Brad Stevens drew up basically worked. They held LeBron to 15 points. He did have 9 rebounds, 7 assists, so he did a little bit of everything, but you expect someone who's in the conversation for the greatest of all time.
Yeah, you can't be pulling up 15.
Yeah, not in a conference finals game. I can't get that from him.
A rookie, you know, put up 1 point more than him. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's crazy because Jason Tatum, you know, was 4 points away from another 20-point game in the finals and in the semifinals, which is amazing. You know, this kid's playing perfect basketball. I mean, he got the handles, he got the shot.
He also got the vision. Is perfect. He's got every piece. He's got the mid-range. He's got the three-pointer. He can shoot off the dribble, catch and shoot. He's got floaters. He can post you up. He can get to this kid can do everything on the offensive end.
And it was crazy. I remember watching the D-League when they first came out of the draft and they were playing their first games. You know, the Fultz, the Balls. And especially Tatum, he was the most underrated guy on the whole draft. I feel like Boston actually won this draft. You know, Ben Simmons, they say he might be anonymous rookie of the year, but I think
he should.
You know, this guy Tatum deserves it in my opinion. You know, all credit goes to Simmons, but I gotta give credit where it's due.
Well, Kevin Love ends with 17 points, 8 rebounds. Jaylen Brown, who was the number 3 pick the year before Jason Tatum, had 23 points, 8 rebounds. Al Horford, who is the veteran, is kind of keeping this thing together with their 2 big pieces out in Boston, had 20 points, 6 assists. Marcus Morris, who matched up against LeBron a lot, had a great game with 21 points, 10 rebounds. And as you said, Jason Tatum had 16 points, 6 rebounds. Okay. Game 2 at Boston again will be Tuesday, May 15th. So if you catch that, please go ahead and watch that.
It's actually tonight.
Yeah. So we move over to the Western Conference. It was a huge game, Golden State versus Houston. So this is, a very, very, very big game. The winner of this series is probably going to go on to win the NBA championship, in my opinion. Now, just to give you a little bit about these two teams, Rockets at 65-17 to end the year. Golden State had a very good record at 58-24. It's actually the first time in the past 4 years they didn't have the best record.
I mean, a lot of injuries too.
A lot of injuries, Curry. And then they still end up with the 3rd best record in the league.
That's not fair.
Not at all. Number 1 in points per game in the NBA at 113. Houston's number 2 at 112. Houston's first in 3-pointers attempted and made. Golden State's number 1 in 3-point percentage. Golden State's number 1 in assists per game. Number 9 in defensive efficiency, and steals per game. They're number 1 in blocks per game. Houston's number 5 in steals, number 2 in blocks, number 6 in defensive efficiency.
I think Houston deserves to be in the East.
One of these teams need to move.
If you look at Texas, Houston's literally like right on the border of the East and the West.
And honestly, I want to see these two teams play in a championship instead of the Western Conference Finals.
Because honestly, I give credit where the teams are in the East, but there's not that much talent in the East anymore.
Definitely.
It's only LeBron.
And just to close out, just so you know, James Harden having another career year, 30 points a game, 8 rebounds. Chris Paul, 18 points, 8 rebounds. Trevor Ariza and Eric Gordon, they're on the 3-point line, shooting 38%, really helping. Clint Capella's doing his thing down low for Houston. We go on to Golden State. Steph's averaging 26, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. Kevin Durant's also averaging 26, 5 assists, 7 rebounds. Draymond Green, 11 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. Klay Thompson, 20 points, shooting 45% from 3.
Again.
This series is going to be everything you expect it to. So if you're a basketball fan, if you just, just want to see excitement.
Even if you don't like basketball, you need to watch it.
This is a series you definitely need to see. Well, we thank you for tuning in. Any student athlete that wants to be featured on the show, send us in videos and clips at myGSPN.com.
Again, today this show is brought to you by Garden Grocer. So make sure to go to www.gardengrocer.com. Place an order for all your groceries and all your grocery needs while you're on vacation. Remember, you will save time, money, and eat whatever you like with your family here on vacation. Again, finish it off.
Any student athlete, we encourage all student athletes, to go to www.myGSPN.com, sign up for a player profile page, go to our social media, follow us on all of that so we can get interacting with you guys and get to know you a little bit better. We'll be back for another show tomorrow, so tune in for that, and we'll see you there.
Thanks.